There's an old lesson from the game of empires that Washington totally forgot. You can't grab a country's resources and pretend it's freedom. You can't snatch a president and claim it's justice. And you can't bomb a sovereign nation while expecting the world to cheer your goodness. What the United States pulled off in Venezuela wasn't a win. It was an admission. An admission that the American empire hit rock-bottom desperation. It had to drop every fake claim about the rules-based system it built over 80 years. On January 3, 2026, right around 2 a.m. local time, the skies above Caracas exploded. More than 150 American military planes roared through Venezuelan airspace. Blasts shook the capital. City lights blinked out as American forces showed off what Trump later called our special skill at knocking out key systems. And in under 30 minutes, a ground crew pulled Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife from their stronghold inside Fuerte Tiuna. That's Venezuela's biggest military base. By sunrise, Maduro was aboard the USS Iwo Jima. He was heading to New York to face narco-terrorism charges. President Trump stepped up to the cameras at Mar-a-Lago. He called it one of the most amazing, sharp, and strong shows of American military power and guts in history. He said the United States would take charge of the country until we say otherwise. But here's what Trump left out. Here's what American news skipped over. Just hours before the raid, Maduro sat down with Chu Xiaoyi. That's China's top envoy for Latin American issues. They locked in their close partnership. They talked oil shipments. They pushed what Maduro called a multipolar world of growth and calm. That timing wasn't random. It was a signal. And Washington didn't send it. Someone sent it to Washington. Because this Venezuela move goes beyond a quick strike. It's the total breakdown of the post-World War II setup. It's the point where the United States told the world international law doesn't count. Sovereignty is up for grabs. And any country with resources America craves better watch its back. But by shouting that out, Washington handed China its biggest win ever in the Western Hemisphere. They proved every charge Beijing ever made about American double talk. And they sped up the crash of the money system that keeps America's economy alive. Today, we're breaking down what really went down in Venezuela. We're laying bare the oil-drenched numbers behind this war move. We're showing how China set itself up to win no matter what happens. And we're explaining why this short-term hit might go down as the huge mistake that snapped America's hold on the global South. To get why this counts big time, you first need the real picture of Venezuela's spot on the world map. Push politics aside for now. Forget Maduro. Skip the drug claims and vote-rigging talk. Look at the ground itself. Venezuela holds about 303 billion barrels of confirmed oil. OPEC's 2025 yearly report calls it the biggest oil stash on Earth. Bigger than Saudi Arabia's 267 billion barrels. Bigger than Iran, Canada, and Iraq put together. Almost 18% of the planet's oil sits under Venezuelan dirt. Most of that sits in one zone called the Orinoco Belt. That's a giant stretch running 600 kilometers through the country's heart. The United States Geological Survey figures that zone alone could pack up to 1.4 trillion barrels of thick crude overall. Even low guesses put usable reserves near 400 billion barrels. Now here's the game changer you need to hear. Venezuela's oil isn't like Saudi Arabia's stuff. It's not light, sweet crude that pumps easy and refines cheap. Venezuela makes heavy, sour crude, thick, sticky, loaded with sulfur. It needs special plants to handle. It demands pricey setups to pull out. And most important, it needs gear you only find in a few spots worldwide. The huge refineries on America's Gulf Coast got built 50 years back just for this heavy gunk. When the United States brags about energy freedom, they skip this part. Sure, America pumps tons of oil from shale fields, but that's light, sweet crude. The American factory machine, the plants making diesel, jet fuel, and key oils for shipping, got made to run on Orinoco's thick mess. For years, that made a sweet deal. Venezuela pumped it up. America turned it into fuel. Both sides cashed in. But then Hugo Chavez showed up. Then came takeovers of companies. Then hit the sanctions. And then China stepped in. The tie between Beijing and Caracas didn't pop up yesterday. It wasn't some reaction to United States pushback. China grew it on purpose over 20 years. Part of their big plan to lock down resources across the global South. Back in 2001, Venezuela became the first Spanish-speaking country to sign a deep growth deal with China. That was 25 years ago. Since then, the bond grew through stages. From basic partnership to full strategic tie, now both call it an all-weather strategic friendship. What does that look like for real? Data from the Council on Foreign Relations shows China pumped almost $60 billion in government loans to Venezuela since 2005. That's almost twice what they loaned any other Latin American spot. Most came as oil for cash deals. Venezuela got the money it needed bad. China got locked-in oil deliveries. And they planted roots right in America's backyard. China's Development Bank and Export-Import Bank of China turned into Venezuela's go-to lenders. Western banks shut them out. Those Chinese banks funded roads, built train lines, set up phone networks. They basically took over the job American money used to do there. But the cash wasn't just about handouts. It was about getting in position. China National Petroleum Corporation, their state oil powerhouse, set up shared projects with Venezuela's PDVSA oil firm. The biggest one, Petrocino Venezuela, kicked off in 2008. It targets the Orinoco's super-thick crude beds. This wasn't small potatoes. China grabbed straight shot at the world's top oil pile. New reports say about 85% of Venezuela's crude now heads to Chinese plants. China built plants that chew through the heavy sulfur junk other countries can't touch well. They set up the gear, trained the workers, made themselves a must-have. And back in May 2024, China and Venezuela inked a deal to shield and boost investments. Western news barely touched it, but it mattered a ton. It set up real legal walls around Chinese firms in Venezuela, kept their stuff safe no matter who runs things. Beijing prepped for exactly what just hit. When American troops nabbed Maduro, they stepped into a place where China dug deep business roots. They grabbed a guy who met Chinese envoys hours before to grow ties, and they sparked a mess that helps Beijing's game plan either way it shakes out. Think about what came right after. China's foreign ministry called the raid shocking, said it was raw force on a sovereign country. Spokesman Lin Jian named it a break of international law. The United Nations Charter, basic rules between nations. China called for Maduro and his wife's quick release. But read between the lines, hear what they skipped. Beijing skipped military threats. No sanctions talk, no pulling their ambassador, no cutting ties. Instead, Chinese leaders stressed they'd keep good talks and teamwork with whoever takes Venezuela's helm. They made clear oil flows stay steady no matter what. This isn't soft, it's smart waiting. China gets something Washington misses. You don't need the government to own the goods. Control the setups, the shipping paths, the fuel plants, the cash ties that make pulling resources pay off. Analysts at the Economist Intelligence Unit say China set up to guard its bets no matter who's in Caracas. The billions in builds over 20 years don't vanish with a leader swap. Shared projects keep running, debt stays owed, business links with Venezuelan firms and brass hold tight. Meanwhile, the United States now wrestles a 30-million-person country with no clear way out. They ditched Maduro, but his whole setup stays put. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez grabbed the presidency. Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez still leads the army. The government's machine didn't fall. It just lost its top face. Trump said the United States would handle the place for now. But what does handling mean? It means owning an economy shrunk 75% in 10 years. It means fixing a spot where crazy inflation wrecked the money. It means delivering power, clean water, basics to folks where 6 million already bolted abroad. China sits back comfy, offers help, keeps ties, waits for Washington to learn running a country costs way more than storming one. The world pushback on Venezuela shows where America stands now. The group slamming this went beyond usual foes. Not just Russia, China, Iran, it hit some of Washington's tightest neighbors. Brazil, the biggest Latin economy under President Lula da Silva, dropped the hardest hit. Lula called it a line nobody should cross. He said it kicked off a world of fights, mess, no stability, where muscle beats teamwork. He brought up the darkest meddling in Latin history, meaning United States-backed tyrants that crushed the region in the Cold War. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum hit direct too. She said the attacks broke the United Nations Charter, called for instant stop to all attacks. At a January 5th news call, she dropped a line that'll ring forever. Latin America's past proves it clear. Outside pushes never built democracy. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro named it a hit on Venezuela's freedom and Latin America's too. Chile's President Gabriel Boric slammed what he called a smash of international law's key leg. These aren't enemy states. They're working democracies. Heavy traders with the United States. Leaders who rejected Maduro's shady 2024 win. And still they all slammed the move. On January 4th, Brazil, Spain, Chile, Colombia, Mexico, Uruguay put out a group statement. Deep worry. Hard no to the one-sided military push in Venezuelan land. They called Latin America a peace zone, warned against grabs for control, running things, or taking natural or key resources. That last bit hits home. They weren't backing Maduro. They warned Washington grabbing Venezuela's oil gets seen as empire theft in freedom clothes. The United Nations Security Council met January 5th. China, Colombia, Russia pushed it. Venezuela's rep laid out the real fight. It's not just Venezuela's freedom at risk. International law's trust. This group's power. The rule that no country plays, judge, fighter, enforcer of world order all hang in balance. Jeffrey Sachs, the Columbia University money expert who spoke there, nailed it. Today's fight isn't Venezuela's nature. It's if any country can force, squeeze, or choke another to pick its leaders or run its show. The world's near-total answer is no, and that total slam is Beijing's win. For years, China sold itself as the flip to United States-run groups, through BRICS, the Belt and Road. New Development Bank, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Beijing built side systems cutting dollar ties, Washington runs. Venezuela handed China the top proof of that plan. Every talk Xi Jinping gave on United States bullying, every alert from Chinese envoys on money as a weapon, every push from Beijing for a multi-power world, all got shown true big time. Dollar drop stats should scare United States planners. International Monetary Fund numbers show the dollar's cut of world cash reserves at 58%, lowest since 2000 kicked off. Central banks worldwide stacked over 1,000 metric tons of gold in 2024, third straight year of huge buys as countries hunt dollar skips. China and Russia do most two-way trade in yuan and rubles. No dollar touch. Brazil and China signed a yuan real deal. India buys Russian oil in rupees. And Saudi Arabia, the 1,974 petrodollar dealmaker that built United States money rule, now takes yuan for oil. Saudi Arabia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, other big oil spots joining BRICS means the group holds nations making about 40% of world oil. If they price oil outside dollars more, the fake demand holding United States money power fades. And what did the United States just show everyone? Defy Washington, price goods off dollars, and American troops might bust in at night to yank you out. Saudi Arabia watches. United Arab Emirates watches. Every oil or mineral-rich spot in Africa, Asia watches. They all hit the same thought. Dollar holdings now hurt more than help. United States safety vows only work if you obey. Only shield from United States reach is systems outside their grab. China's cross-border bank payment net now hooks 4,800 banks in 185 countries. M-Bridge, the digital money platform with China, Hong Kong, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, United Arab Emirates, lets instant local currency deals with no United States money touch. These are breakout paths the global south builds fast. Venezuela didn't slow that run. It sped it up. The strike's war smarts can't get denied. American forces shut Venezuelan air shields, 53 long and mid-range setups, tons of short missiles, over 440 anti-air guns, froze 93,000 ground troops, nabbed Maduro in under 30 minutes boots down, just 7 United States hurt, pure tech win. But war skill isn't strategy smarts. The United States proved it can snag any boss anywhere, anytime, showed kinetic fight rule unbeatable, but also showed no care for international law. Sovereign sameness. The fine talk setup keeping big power fights from chaos 80 years. The pattern's set. A strong country indicts a foreign head on crime counts, builds troops nearby as drug war cover, then hits full to grab that head for home trial. Every rule smashed. Every bound crossed. Every resource country America eyes now asks, us next? China skips saying it loud. They just stay the other choice. Keep loaning cash, no strings. Hold investments whoever rules. Prove Beijing ties. Skip night raids. Leader swaps. The twist hits perfect. The United States hit to lock Venezuela oil and block Chinese sway in the hemisphere. Result proves every fear of United States plans. Speeds the shift Washington tried to stop. Trump told Fox News the raid partly came from Venezuela, stealing United States firm oil in 2006, 2007 takeovers. He demanded payback for what he called grabbed setups. Talked open about United States companies fixing Venezuela's busted oil game. That game's drop-off stuns. Peak late 1,990 seconds hit 3.5 million barrels daily. By 2025, down to about 960,000 barrels. Decades of no cash put in, graft, brain flight, United States sanctions piled, left setups wrecked. Guesses say $180 billion over 15 years just to hit old output. Even holding now needs $50 billion. Plants age out, gear breaks, skilled hands gone. United States oil giants won't bet big without iron locks. They hold grudges, recall takeovers, recall grabs. No next government might sweep their cash as sovereign right. Meanwhile, China built ties, setups, know-how for Venezuela's tough spots. Chinese firms stayed through sanctions, found fixes, showed weight power United States companies chased by quarter reports, shareholder heat can't match. Likely end isn't United States oil boom there. It's leaning on Chinese skills, Chinese cash, whoever sits palace top. As I record, Nicolás Maduro sits in New York federal lockup. Trial looms on charges that could mean life. His wife stays cuffed beside. His 13-year government's machine runs under Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. Trump called her ready to do what we need, but Venezuela's army stands whole. Spy outfits work. Chavista power web ruling 25 years lost its star, not broke apart. International law pros slam clear. Jeffrey Robertson, top human rights lawyer, said the hit breaks United Nations Charter Article 2. Counts as aggression crime under world law. United Nations head Antonio Guterres voiced deep worry. Warned of bad ripples for the area. His rep said plain, international law rules got ignored. But world law only works if backed. And who backs world law against the country running the backup machine? That's China's long-asked question. That's the Global South's answer, now building side groups, other systems skipping United States' favor. Venezuela lessons get studied generations. War pros pick apart Operation Absolute Resolve's moves. Diplomacy classes trace lost regional ties. Money depths track dollar crash back to this rules drop moment. For China, victory's not Venezuela. It's proving their worldview. Showing United States ties mean strings to chains to bombs. Quiet talks now in Riyadh. Brasilia. Jakarta. Rethink trust. The United States aimed to box Venezuela. Instead, their no-rules bold cut them off. Proved power sans trust is just force. Showed a nation bombing for goods runs out of friends who ignore. China skips one shot. Just waits, builds, offers other paths. They spent 25 years tying Global South. Built roads while America built carriers. Grew bricks while America grew push-away sanctions. Petrodollar net holding United States money top since 1974 dies not just from Chinese push. United States turned cash from fair trade tool to politics weapon, now real weapon on offline nations. Every oil, mineral, key goods country now rethinks United States touch. Ask if dollar piles freeze. If bosses get charged. If freedom means zip when United States wants in. Their answers reshape our century. And those answers pick Beijing. Watch trade numbers coming months. Watch cash deals. Watch gold buys. Watch nations price sales in yuan, rupees, home money. Watch M-Bridge spread. Watch BRICS swell. Skip headlines on war hits, nab tyrants. That's distraction show. iBank vaults. iNext money systems builders. No strings partners. Unmatched United States rule era didn't end January 3rd, 2026. Ending years. But Venezuela hit marks when fake rules cover fell. When top guy quit close act. When rules world order showed as United States control, not world rule. China gets it. Global South gets it. Question. Do Americans get what their leaders did for them and decades cost ahead? Strategic oil reserve refills steadily without panic buying, spiking prices wildly across pumps nationwide desperately. Refineries hold operations running smoothly without shutdowns, cascading disruptions, supply chains fragilely. Oil flows continue uninterrupted, keeping wheels turning, economies humming along dependently without alternatives scaled fully yet anyway. But lost trust once shattered deeply doesn't come back easily without years reconciliation efforts genuine poured tirelessly. Dropped trust, abandoned hastily, doesn't rebuild foundations solid without apologies, sincere plus actions matching words delivered consistently. Empire ruling primarily by scare tactics deployed ruthlessly, finds scare proves weakest power base, crumbling inevitably under strain building relentlessly. World watches developments closely without blinkered views, obscuring judgments forming independently. World judges outcomes fairly without favoritism, tilting scales unjustly toward old powers fading gradually. If this Venezuela mess breakdown showed clearly what mainstream skips deliberately over and over again, persistently subscribe and tap bell here right away without hesitation shown. We track multi-power world shift live as it happens, documenting changes meticulously without bias, coloring facts presented plainly. Changes now shape our lives irrevocably, moving forward without turning back clocks possible anymore, realistically speaking. Share this with headline blind folks needing clarity desperately without spoon-fed narratives misleading constantly. Understanding starts prep work, essential building resilience collectively without delay, tolerated further unnecessarily. Old setup dies slowly, painfully without dignity, afforded gracefully and passing quietly. New one born freshly amid chaos, birthing opportunities seized boldly without fear, paralyzing progress forward steadily. Will you grasp fully the coming world transforming rapidly around us daily without getting caught off guard, blindsided unexpectedly, or remaining ahead curve navigating wisely?